All right, greetings and welcome to the Eccentric Perspective. I am your host, Blake Wally, trying out a little new show here. So bear with me as I make a few adjustments. It's going to get better. I'm going to try to keep this short and sweet today. Obviously, the big story is going to be RFK Jr. on Capitol Hill. Kind of stick to that. I got a few other odds and ends. Normally, I'd like to cover a variety, but I mean, that one is just huge and it's got a lot of components to it. We will dig in. Let me play the new modified introduction and we'll get ready to go. If you guys want to bring up anything else or any instant feedback, feel free to drop something in the chat. Otherwise, let's go. Starting now. All right, good times. So, as we all know, let me switch this up. Big story today. Clearly, RFK getting ambushed in a way on Capitol Hill. It's a little biased on both sides, perhaps. We'll dig in the good, the bad, the ugly. I am a fan of RFK, and I hope to see him get in. But there's certainly some people are allowed to ask questions and challenge him, throw him off his game a little, rattle him, and it certainly was interesting so far from what I've seen. I'll go through some of the highlights. So first off, out of the Federalists, we got senators who raked in millions from Big Pharma are going to question RFK Jr. in these double hearings. Obviously, that could be problematic because these people probably don't want him there. They want somebody who's one of them, somebody who's also on the take with the pharma, getting the big money so they could all be in one little club and they can protect themselves. But they've had their run. They've pushed too far, and it's time for RFK Jr. to push back, perhaps. Let's take a look. Hello, Deb from SAC and Frankie Brown. Great to see both of you. Bear with me on this new format, new broadcast. But this is going to be my worst show because every other show is going to get better. I certainly hope. So we'll be happy to take any feedback or anything else you guys would like to share, or maybe something I missed. Feel free to chime in. All right. So President Donald Trump's pick to run the DHS will be grilled in public hearings held by lawmakers who pocketed more than $10 million from the pharmaceutical industry. So clearly they were already scripting what they were going to do beforehand. They need to try to take him out in some capacity. He would be a threat to all the guys that, like to line their pockets with the big money. I get it, but this has got to be what's best for America. So in a make or break moment for the movement to make America healthy again, or MAHA, Trump's nominee to lead the crusade at HHS, environmental lawyer Robert F. Kennedy, scheduled to testify. So it's going to be today and as well tomorrow. So it's not completely over with even today. Well, we'll see how things shake out and how they are going to approach it then. But he will appear, that would be today, in front of the Senate Finance Committee. And then tomorrow, expect more of the same with the Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee coming up. So it's a series of industries that actually make money from keeping us sick. This is why I like Kennedy. Because, yes, we know that the medical industry is full of fraud and corruption, waste, abuse. And clearly, they would rather have a sick population that buys expensive pharmaceuticals, that keeps them in business. And he's mentioned that, especially with these childhood diseases, because it's like having a customer for life. Yes, the chronic illness, lifetime patient. Also talking about he's going to go after drugs like Ozempic, which people are, having some seem to be good results with, but there's probably issues with it, with what's actually in it. Some say it's coming from various venoms that they might pull out. We don't know the long-term studies, but it's certainly nice to take a look at that from somebody who's not going to be trying to enrich themselves on these experimental medications. So, but let's take a look. Let's go quickly. We got RFK Jr. from the Vigilant Fox here, putting up the thread. There's the opening statement with RFK Jr. exposing America's health catastrophe in a powerful opening statement. As he's saying, I'm not going to play this 8-minute clip. I will try to play a few of these clips here coming up as much as is necessary. But just to simplify things, he's saying today Americans' overall health is in grievous condition. Over 70% of adults and a third of children are overweight or obese. Certainly alarming, and he does talk about that with COVID and why there were so many people dying here, just based on the numbers, because we have a lot of people with pre-existing conditions and health issues. I mean, a lot of Europeans will, of course, joke about the Americans or the Amerifats or what have you. Diabetes is 10 times more prevalent than it was during the 1960s. Cancer among young people is rising by 1 or 2% a year. So is that per year? I don't know exactly how much that is spread out, but where that was, it used to be childhood cancer was something almost unheard of or extraordinarily rare. Now it's sort of becoming more normalized, and it shouldn't be. So there's clearly problems with our dieting or our environment, perhaps medications, perhaps some of the big pharma things that they put out, jabs or what have you. I'm trying to be careful about what language I'm going to use, so I'm not going to be triggering these sensors or what have you. Yeah, we have autoimmune diseases, neurodevelopmental disorders, Alzheimer's, asthma, ADHD, depression, addiction, and a host of other physical and mental conditions are all on the rise, some of them exponentially. They certainly are. The United States has worse health than any other developed nation, yet we spend more here on healthcare, at least double and in some cases triple as other countries. It is enormously expensive. Last year, we spent $4.8 trillion, not counting the indirect cost of missed work. So, a healthy person has 1,000 dreams, but a sick person only has one. And we have, a epidemic with the chronically ill. So we'll move on. The RFK battle lines are drawn now between people who are bought and paid for by Big Pharma, or the people who blindly trust people who are known to be compromised. So, moving on. Of course, probably the most explosive exchange so far, at least that I've seen. There could be more. But with Elizabeth Warren, well, I'm gonna actually defend her a little bit. I know they're trying to go after her. I am not a fan of hers. She's normally awful, but I will say she does make a point, even though she's getting hysterical in this exchange. All right, so thanks, Deb. Possible Blake. I don't do bad shows. Let's hope not. But this is a new thing for me as I learn this studio by myself, because I've been running the shows for a couple of years, but I'm always doing it with Brian or Mike, and they usually control the studio, so they're familiar with setting everything up and operating it. Now I'm relearning it myself. But I actually used to do blog talk radio about 10 years ago, starting 2011 to 2014. So I am familiar, at least I have some experience to lean on. But yes, we'll continue to get better as I get more comfortable with this. But thank you for being here. Yes, there is no money in healthy people. There is money in keeping animals healthy. So when livestock is threatened, they certainly will do something to take care of them as cheaply as possible. But for humans, kind of, they make hand over fist the money. When people are sick and they have to keep renewing their prescriptions. So a lot of problems there, and it's nice. I want to see an outsider like RFK shake things up. So here's Alex Jones saying that Senator Pocahontas wants RFK Jr. to pledge not to sue corrupt drug makers, and he refuses, and she has a meltdown. Big Pharma is shaking. With all due respect, I think I'll give her some credit here. Let's roll a few minutes here. We'll
that you will
on certain parts, and let me make sure I'm not on double speed here. Here we go.
not take a financial stake in every one of those lawsuits so that what you do as secretary will also benefit you financially down the line.
I'll comply with all the ethical guidelines.
That's not the question. You have said
You're asking me, Senator, you're asking me not to sue vaccine pharmaceutical companies. Yeah, you are. That's exactly what you're doing.
Oh my God, I feel like I'm 12 years old. My mom is yelling at me. This is
no one should be fooled here. As Secretary of HHS, Robert Kennedy will have the power to undercut vaccines and vaccine manufacturing across our country. Company after you leave HHS, but you and I both know there's another way to make money. So, Mr. Kennedy, will you also agree that you won't take any compensation from any lawsuits against drug companies while you are secretary and for 4 years afterwards?
Well, I'll certainly commit to that while I'm secretary. But I do want to clarify something because you're making me sound like a shill. I put together that case. I did the Science Day presentation to the judge on that case to get it into court.
Mr. Kennedy, it's just a really simple question. You've taken in $2.5 million. I want to know if you will commit right now that not only will you not go to work for drug companies, you won't go to work suing the drug companies and taking your rake out of that while you're a secretary and for 4 years after. It's just...
I'll commit to not taking any fees from drug companies while I'm secretary.
No, I'm asking about fees from suing drug companies. Will you agree not to do that?
You're asking me to not sue drug companies, and I'm not going to agree to that, Senator.
Okay, and I want to stop it right there. Now, conservative media is obviously twisting this one way. And I, as much as I want to believe it, as much as I want to dunk on Elizabeth Warren, I think she's actually making a point here. I like RFK. I hope he's appointed, but he is dodging that question. So is he going to enrich? He's going to be in a position of power where he's going to be able to say, if he wanted to sue Pfizer for whatever reason that he decides that this is a good idea, we can go after him. But is he going to enrich himself? Is he going to take some of the money? So that would obviously be it would be compromised because it would be incentivized. Like, hey, let's I can use the power of HHS to go after and sue Pfizer, and then I'm going to enrich myself. Or versus, hey, let's just we'll sue them just to punish them or wherever, but the money is not going to go into his pocket, and it's not going to go into his pocket for at least 4 years. Then he can do whatever he wants. So I think she's asking a legitimate question. Now, she makes a ton of money by Big Pharma. She has her own corruption problems. So she could probably get grilled in another situation, but I will give her credit there. Let's pull up a tweet here from Michael Tracy. Says, if your intelligence is not insulted by RFK Jr. now insisting that he's uncontroversially Am I even pronouncing that right? Uncontroversially pro-vaccine when he dedicated huge chunks of his life to vaccine skepticism and attracted a nationwide political following, largely on that basis, that nothing will insult your intelligence. And that is also one of the other issues, perhaps, is he's kind of bouncing back and forth because he's trying to secure the nomination. But if he's seen as just somebody who demonizes vaccines, then they're going to throw him out. So he's saying he is pro-vaccine. He is, obviously he's pro-science, and he does want to make that point. And I have to respect that as well. But it could be looked at different ways. He's trying to appease different sides. So yes, Deb, yeah, she is totally badgering him. It's all for show, and it's certainly going to, appease the people that pay her. She's just upset she won't be getting those Big Pharma anymore. Yeah, that could be too. So yeah, it threatens the livelihood of a lot of these people, but they shouldn't be taking that money to begin with. So there should not be that kind of money in politics. You go, it's an honorable thing to serve your country, but when you start taking money from Big Pharma, the military industrial complex, or what have you, then your message is going to be compromised. And I know, Deb and Frankie, you guys watched the Toxically Masculine Tuesday show with Mike Barra, Dr. Brooks Agnew, Steve Doran. Well, Dr. Brooks Agnew was seriously considering running for Senate in North Carolina. But what he's finding out is that it's going to cost him $6 million. So this is not like a Mr. Smith goes to Washington grassroots. You're going to help your fellow Americans. This is like they price most of the people out, and they almost force you to find some big pocketed donors like a Raytheon or some of the other weapon manufacturers or whoever, Pharma, APAC, and we could go down the list of a lot of people that will spend big bucks, but then that automatically compromises your message. So. Yes, Frankie, yeah, same thing. Liz doesn't want anyone else making the money. It's a valid vaccine, not COVID. Oh, and thank you, Deb. I'm glad you enjoyed the show last night. Still having an issue seeing some of the comments from you because people are like talking to you, but I can't see what you're saying. But it's always a blast having you in chat. Let's take another look. Let's go through another piece here. This Sarah Fields is showing from the Open Secrets the top 20 member recipients of money from pharmaceutical health products in 2019-2020. You've got right here Elizabeth Warren, $821,000. So clearly she is biased here. Of course, she's going to go on the attack. And it is basically like an ambush there for RFK. Bernie Sanders, this is shocking because you'd think that he's supposed to be, Mr. Grassroots, and it's certainly anything but. He's getting paid $1.4 million. That's a hell of a lot of money. That will definitely change your opinion, and certainly he made quite a spectacle as well. It's probably the most bizarre one of the day. This is what he decided to do. So here, let's take a look at Bernie Sanders on his unhinged rant about onesies to RFK Jr. and asking him if he's supportive of the onesies. This is not serious, people, but he's trying to expose corruption hilariously. So let's check out this quick clip.
They are selling what's called onesies. These are little.
Let me back that up. He's on one speed. I thought he was going a little quick. Go.
Things, clothing for babies. One of them is titled Unfaxed, Unafraid. Next one, and they're sold for $26 a piece, by the way. Next one is No Vax, No Problem. Now you're coming before this committee and you say you're pro-vaccine. Just want to ask some questions. And yet your organization is making money selling a child's product to parents for $26, which casts fundamental doubt on the usefulness of vaccines. Can you tell us now that you will Now that
I mean, this is ridiculous. How much money do you think he's really making selling this merchandise, onesies for baby? How many people are actually buying that at $26 minus, the cost of getting it in? Like, he's enriching themselves when clearly, the big pharma, the drugs make tons of money. And then it's the hilarious hypocrisy since, Bernie's obviously, I just showed, making over $1.4 million. I think that was from Pharma, and that was just in 2019, 2020. So who knows how far that goes, but you really can't take them too seriously on that. Like they got a big racket going trying to sell onesies. Give me a break.
you are pro-vaccine, that you're going to have your organization take these products off the market.
Senator, I have no power over that organization. I'm not part of it. I resigned from the board.
Yeah, that was just a few months ago. You founded that. You certainly have power. You can make that call. Are you supportive of this?
I've had nothing to do with
leadership. Are you
leadership.
supportive of these onesies?
I'm supportive of vaccines.
Are you supportive of this clothing, which is militantly
I know this is like something that you would see on Saturday Night Live. This can't be really happening. Like, this was the angle that he decided to target him, as though he's got a huge, clothing racket, making tons of money selling onesies to a niche group of people. Come on.
anti-vaccine?
I am supportive of vaccines. I will. I want good science, and I want to protect.
But you will not tell the organization you founded not.
All right. But yes, there's clearly is also distinct. There are the good vaccines and there are the ones that are probably not necessary, but they make the CDC makes a ton of money pushing them. So they're incentivized to give you as many vaccines as possible. So it's nice maybe to think about pulling some of those back that maybe aren't necessary. They freak out about these MMR vaccines or like the measles stuff, which really hardly affects anybody unless you're in like a third world country and you don't have safe water or what have you. But there's always some measles outbreak and they freak out. But I mean, for 50 years, it's not really been taken very seriously in this country. But that's a side issue. But yes, it's nice to have some common sense. There was, when I was a kid, there was only a few vaccines that you had to take to go to school. Now it's like, I don't know, quadrupled. And there's a lot of, health issues with these kids. I'm not saying they're all directly linked to the vaccines, but that's one thing where you could point at that has changed dramatically in the last 20 years. So that's a good place to start and something that needs to be investigated. And it's all about the nature of good science. So, good for him. Go after some of these pharmaceutical companies. But he can't enrich himself at the same time. So you can't, try to sue him just so you can make a little money on that. So I'll give Elizabeth Warren her little credit there, and then the rest of it we can throw out the window. Also, another note, this is pretty hilarious. How can we refuse, RFK Jr., who clearly cares, clearly is very well qualified, and this lady, Assistant Health Secretary, the same people calling RFK Jr. a conspiracy theorist want you to believe that is a woman. Also from John Rocker, any senator who voted for this abomination has no business speaking at the RFK Jr. confirmation hearing. I agree. They should probably recuse themselves. If you take a bunch of money from Big Pharma, or you've put some of these other sketchy people in there before, your vote really shouldn't count that much. All right, so let's take a pause. All right, let me get that off screen. Yeah, I know, Deb. Sorry, I'm asleep at the wheel here. Looking for the next piece, the next item on the list. There's another clip here with Senator Mark Warner. This is 34 seconds. Let's check this one out.
We need to do a lot more on. Will you commit not to fire anyone in the health arena who currently works on protecting Americans from cyber attacks in their healthcare files?
I will commit to not firing anybody who's doing their job.
This is also weird. There was a great exchange with Adam Schiff, who was awful, and he was making lots of questions. And it seemed like all he was really cared about was whether there was going to be some kind of, retaliation against him or the J6 committee or what have you. And this is kind of the same thing. Like they're worried about getting the pharmaceutical companies sued.
Based on your opinion,
people that you like.
based upon your opinion or your political agenda or Mr. Trump's political agenda?
Based upon my opinion.
I guess that means a lot of the folks who've had any type of views on vaccines will be out of work.
Oh yeah, making little comments there. Okay. Well, they got to try to make him look bad with the optics in front of the American people. Yeah, you have Big Pharma mouthpiece Ron Wyden. Also, yes, a lot of money from Big Pharma. Reads the Riot Act for disagreeing with the settled science that has caused a healthcare crisis in America. Senator Wyden had no criticism for Big Pharma abuses or the socialist healthcare programs that have exploded costs. And that should be one of the major focuses. And this is all about what this administration should be, is creating efficiency. It's all about Doge, it's about cutting some of these agencies, getting rid of some of these overpaid bureaucrats, and cutting a lot of these expenses here, because we are now I think it's $36 trillion in debt. And we have way too much big government. So, all right. Yes, of course, he had plenty of insults for RFK Jr., who has dedicated his life's work into investigating healthcare fraud and the urgent need to reform America's broken medical system. The people are fed up with the status quo, but unfortunately, they don't get to push him over the finish line. So these people are going to have to approve him, and that might be a bit of a challenge considering he threatens their livelihoods. So there's another good tweet from Kyle Becker here. It says, if you're talking like all vaccines are always effective and never have side effects, you're gaslighting people and your opinion on the matter is automatically invalid. I think I would absolutely agree with that. So they try not to mention that. They don't want to scare anybody. But the fact that they ignore that when we have the health issues piling up, it's obviously not good. And just to show that RFK Jr. does care about the people, let's take a look at what he was saying about mercury 8 years ago.
About 8 years ago, the EPA announced that in 19 states, it is now unsafe to eat any freshwater fish caught in the state because of mercury contamination. The mercury's coming from those coal-burning power plants. In 49 states, at least some of the fish are unsafe to eat. In fact, the only state where all of the fish are safe to eat is Dick Cheney's home state of Wyoming, where the Republican-controlled legislature has refused to appropriate the money to test the fish. We know a lot about mercury now. According to CDC, there's 1 out of every 6 American women now has so much mercury in her womb that her children are at risk for a grim inventory of diseases: autism, blindness, mental retardation, heart, liver, and kidney disease. I have so much mercury in my body just from eating fish, 2.5 times what EPA is considered safe. I was told by Dr. David Carpenter, who's the principal authority on mercury toxicity in this country, that if a woman with my levels of mercury in her blood would have children with cognitive impairment, with permanent brain neurological injury.
Yeah, that's also very alarming how dangerous mercury is. They used to use it in manufacturing back in the day. Of course, we know about the Mad Hatters. People in unventilated rooms messing with mercury would go crazy. A lot of the conspiracy theorists, as we were saying on the shirt here, have been warning maybe the autism epidemic is perhaps caused by the mercury compounds that are literally just being jabbed into people's right into their bloodstream. Maybe that's a link, because they're always saying, there's no. We don't know where autism comes from, but we know that it can't possibly come from the vaccines. But, why would they say that when there's mercury compounds or aluminum or adjuvants or what have you that are in those? But somehow they rule out the one thing that seems the most obvious. But, also RFK brings up that point. So that's one of the things I learned living in Minnesota. We're on Lake Superior. You weren't supposed to eat the fish, right, that come out of the Great Lakes because they were poison and they were high in mercury. They said you can only eat like one in your entire lifetime. That's how dangerous that stuff is. You do not want it in your body, period. So he brings up a good point. So maybe autism doesn't come from the vaccine, but maybe it comes if somebody was eating, fish out of the Great Lakes and they had mercury in their body. Maybe that could affect the baby. I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but I respect RFK. I respect people that are putting themselves out there to try to do something about these health issues. There's a lot of things we didn't know that were bad for you. Mercury, lead. A couple of good incidents of that, even with like the ancient Romans building the aqueducts, they might have had lead in there that led to the downfall. People were going crazy. Lead in the gasoline was making people crazy in the 70s. They pulled that out. Used to be leaded or unleaded gasoline. So yeah, mercury, lead, so many other things that can be have health issues that we don't realize at the time, but have serious cost going into the future. So we'll skip from that. Let's take a look at his running mate, RFK Jr., with Nicole Shanahan, the billionaire philanthropist, has put the Senate on notice. She says that it's kind of like a blackmail. These are threats. Like, you better vote to confirm RFK Jr. or she is going to personally fund primary challenges. So that can be pretty costly, but I do appreciate her enthusiasm. So that's interesting. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at this tab here instead from comic Dave Smith saying, I love this message from Nicole Shanahan. For the record, he's going to help her not play nice in any way that he can. So here is that clip. Roll.
Everyone, tomorrow is a pivotal.
Oh, come on. What is this? I don't know what happened there. Let's try, let's go back to this tab.
Hey everyone, tomorrow is a pivot.
What? Okay, so this is not isolated. Are they trying to take this clip down? That's the one thing? You gotta be kidding me. All right, well, let's just read her quotes. So Shanahan, RFK's presidential running mate, explained, hey everyone, tomorrow in a pivotal moment in our nation's history, RFK will sit down in the Senate Finance Committee. That's today. Already happened. She says she urges everyone to call their U.S. senators over the following days and demand they vote yes on Bobby's nomination. He's more than qualified. He's proven, principled, and prepared to lead. And she's going to share the list. If they don't, please call your senator and ask them to vote yes. We need as many votes as we can get. So this hasn't been widely reported. Blah, blah, blah. She cut large checks to Chuck Schumer to help Democrats flip 2 Senate seats in Georgia. So she's helped people before, even people we don't like. So hopefully she's seen the error of her ways. But there are a lot of these awful swamp creatures that we probably don't need anyway. So good riddance to them. So she says, well, Bobby may be willing to play nice. I won't. And if you vote against him, I will personally fund challengers to primary you in your next election, and I will enlist hundreds of thousands to join me. Big Pharma and big agriculture have exploited us for far too long. Yeah, that's another big angle. I didn't even get to that. Just got the food supply and what have you. There's a lot of stuff that they put in the food that is causing health issues for too many people. It's it's designed to make you eat more, so they make more money. But that's another story altogether. We'll save that maybe for tomorrow. We'll see what happens with RFK there and his next hearing. But it was rigged from the get-go. As we've seen fake news busted, we've got a far-left hack has a pre-written negative headline on her screen before RFK Jr. hearing starts. So yes, they know exactly what to do, and there's so much money from Big Pharma, and now not just in halls of Congress, but for the media. So there's not a lot of free press. So these people, they might get journalism degrees from Columbia or what have you. Then they're going to go work for some paper, and they're going to be told kind of the how they have to work and how they have to cover things. It's not just independently calling it like it is. It's doing as you're told and appeasing the sponsors so you can keep your job, keep getting your paychecks. This is how the fake news operates. Don't believe for a second this is an isolated incident. Fake news reporter busted today with pre-written negative headline on her screen. And she didn't wait for the hearing to begin. She knew exactly how to frame it for their audience. That's why you cannot believe the mainstream media. Here it is, or I could get a better look at it from this angle here. Yeah, so here it is. We got the headline ready to go. Just need to get a few sound bites, throw it in there, and they're going to smear Robert Kennedy no matter what. That's unfortunately how things work. There we go. Yes, we need to learn from history so we don't repeat it. And yes, Europe has the healthiest food. Yeah, it could be. There's different standards in places, but yeah, Mediterranean, Italy, they're very careful about what they're allowed to do. They're not using the genetically modified stuff or putting all these chemicals and additives into the food, which is all big encompassing thing. It's not just RFK and vaccines. It's also healthy food, environment. It's this thing is it is an environmentalist. So there's a lot of things that he would be an asset, somebody that works for us and is not on the Big Pharma payroll. Otherwise, he would have already been sworn in already. This would have been a shoo-in. But he's fighting for us as a populist, and that's going to present a bigger challenge, obviously. Okay, yeah, different countries, much healthier, like Japan. That's another one. They don't allow all that crap in the food. Yeah, we got so many issues here in this country, and this is a good way to fix this stuff is by getting RFK Jr. and getting this full agenda in office. So, all right, I think that's one more clip on RFK. I know it's heavy on that. I was hoping for a nice big variety of different news and subjects, but it is heavy on RFK Jr. today, obviously. So here is the last one we'll share, and then we'll move on to the breaking news that I have. So let's check this out.
Because you keep citing the Trump administration and you're just going to follow what they say. Is that what you're doing? You're just a rubber stamp for them in this position? So anybody, it doesn't matter that you're before us. It could be anybody coming before us as long as they're a rubber stamp for this administration and disregarding your beliefs and what you think. I guess my question to you is, if it really is fundamental to what you believe, how do you live with that? How do you address those issues moving forward, knowing that it's going to harm Americans? Yeah.
You want me to answer the question?
No, I'm asking you.
Okay. President Trump has asked me to end the chronic disease epidemic and make America healthy again. And I'm
so is that the only reason why you're at HHS? Is that the only reason why then you're at the HHS, to address that one issue?
President Trump has asked me because I'm in a unique position to end that. And that is what I'm doing. And if we don't solve that problem, Senator, all of the other disputes we have about who's paying, and whether it's insurance companies, whether it's providers, whether it's HMOs, whether it's patients or families, all of those are moving deck chairs around on the Titanic. Our ship is sinking. Our 60% increase in Medicaid over the past 4 years is the biggest budget line now, and it's growing faster than any other. And no other nation in the world has what we have here. No other nation has a chronic disease. We have the highest chronic disease burden of any country in the world. We had, during COVID, we had 16% of the COVID deaths in a country. We only have 4.2% of the world's population. We had a higher death count than any country in the world. And when CDC was asked why, He said it's because Americans are the sickest people on earth. The average person who died from COVID, American, had 3.8 chronic diseases. This is an existential threat economically to our military, to our health, to our sense of well-being. And it is a priority for President Trump. And that's why he asked me to run the agency. And if I'm privileged to be confirmed, that's exactly what I'll do.
All right. Yeah, I'm all on board. Make America healthy again. I'm for it. Let's hope it'll be a little easier tomorrow. But yeah, it's going to be on edge. They certainly are incentivized to take him down. But speaking of being taken down, I do have some breaking news. All right, cool. All right, Senator Bob Melendez, disgraced from New Jersey. I guess he cried as he begs for leniency, but gets 11 years in prison for his gold bar bribery scheme. Wow, I never thought I would see this happen. Actually, somebody held accountable for their corruption in Congress and taken down and actually facing some real consequences. They didn't sweep this under the rug. I'm shocked. So he gets 11 years. All right. Once a powerful U.S. senator from New Jersey cried as he begged a Manhattan judge for leniency. I think they were trying to get him 8 years, but he ended up doing 11. We'll see. He was selling out his lofty post for gold bars, cash, a Mercedes-Benz convertible, and other bribes. He said, "Your Honor, you have before you a chastened man," he said before choking up. "I have dedicated my entire life to the service of others." Well, and enriching yourself to the service of others. He said, dabbing his eyes, "I am far from a perfect man, but I believe in my half century of public service, I have done more good than bad." So the waterworks came before Manhattan federal judge Sidney Stein handed the sentence to the 3-term Democrat who resigned in disgrace in August. A jury found him guilty, taking hundreds of thousands of dollars in exchange for protecting and enriching businessmen and foreign governments. So I don't know if you think that's bad. Wait till they get to the Biden family business dealings. Hopefully, in due time, we shall see. No, Menendez did not get a pardon. Even though we'll see how that works with the Biden family. So the former head of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, tasked with approving massive sums of lethal military aid, did favors for Egypt and Qatar, while go-betweens showered him and his wife, Nadine, with cash, gold bars, luxury car, checks, a no-show job, and payouts to sham consulting firm, trial evidence revealed. So, well, that's too bad. But if you're going to do the crime, you're going to get busted, you're going to do the time. And there you go. So finally, justice served. I am shocked. All right. So, not that I'm going to have an axe to grind. I'm not taking glee in this, but they have to make an example of somebody because this kind of thing should not happen. Not in this country. So, sorry, Bob, but, well, I guess the fun is over. All right, moving along. What else do I have? A couple other quick stories. This one I've found disturbing. Covered this a little bit yesterday with Brian on Agree to Disagree. It's ill-timed. The J6 prisoners got out. Speaking of pardons, 1,500 looks like, peaceful protesters that were political prisoners were finally let out of the DC gulag and other various places throughout the country. But one of them got into some kind of a fracas with the police and ended up getting shot and killed. Does not look good for the narrative because you don't want to see Trump releasing violent criminals. If there 6 people got commuted, their sentences commuted. So I'm assuming they either, they were probably attacking cops or something on the Capitol. And that's not good. You don't want to release violent people into the population, obviously. You don't want to really, if any of these J6 guys are going to do something stupid, get themselves in trouble, and it's going to be a big I told you so, and we shouldn't have let them out to begin with. So I would think most of them are innocent and did not have criminal records. I don't know a whole lot about this guy, but what is interesting to note is that, we're kind of calling it out. Like, what happened? Was he actually a violent person that maybe should have stayed in prison despite the fact that he was a J6 protester? Or, what was he? Did he actually do something bad? Or maybe he had postulated. Maybe he's got like PTSD from being, tortured in the gulag. Maybe that broke him. I don't know. But what we do know is that the police are refusing a Freedom of Information Act request for the video evidence, because that's what we need to know. We have questions. We want to know what this happened. And we don't want these guys getting hunted down one by one. They could be, some sort of deep state stuff. I don't know if they're going to go after these people because they want to continue to hold on to that narrative that these are, dangerous insurrectionists that try to overthrow democracy. And if they can get a few of these people killed or committing crimes, then it's not going to look good for the rest of the peaceful protesters or for Trump for pardoning them. So 42-year-old Matthew Huddle of Hobart, Indiana, was stopped by a Jasper County Sheriff's deputy during a traffic stop near the Pulaski County line. Police say the deputy attempted to arrest Huddle after stopping him. The civilian resisted, and the officer responded by firing his weapon and killing Huddle following a supposed fight. But again, since we don't have the footage, we don't really know. Is it possible that the deep state would do some dirty tricks and try to take a few of these guys out and make it look like it was their fault? Perhaps. I don't know. But we'll just have to find out until we can get more answers on that. So I will reserve judgment on that. The left was obviously quick to want to believe that this was why they should have been in the first place. So anyway, it's presented a challenge to that narrative, but we will see how that develops. Okay. Yeah, great. Yes, thank you, Deb. One bad apple doesn't spoil the whole bunch. Of course, that's the way they would like to frame it and twist it, but we're going to have to fight with that. And good on the Gateway Pundit for putting it that act request and getting that video so we can get to the bottom of what actually happened. Okay, so we're at the 47-minute mark. I'm going to try. It's going to be my goal to keep every show under 1 hour. We shall see. So one more. Speaking of, it's another incident with the cops. This is pretty shocking. I think it's happened a couple days ago. I'm just hearing about this for the first time. This is crazy. Cops extremely troubled to arrest an elementary school principal after 100 kids were found at her home for alcohol-fueled party. I mean, the audacity. This is crazy. So has rocked the Cocoa Beach community. Florida elementary school principal, not just, there's always some odd teacher that does something or messes around with a minor or does something inappropriate. But, to have the principal, facing serious charges after allegedly hosting an alcohol-filled party attended by more than 100 children. That's Elizabeth Hill Brodigan, 47, principal of Roosevelt Elementary School, arrested just 10 days ago when authorities describes a dangerous and illegal gathering at her residence. Here she is. So she was arrested on child neglect charges. And one teen even had an alcohol-related medical episode on the front lawn, and another was arrested for a DUI nearby. So she let one of the kids go. They got in their car, and that's probably how they found out what was going on. Imagine trying to I don't know how you think that you're going to get 100 kids over to your house, allow alcohol, and then you're going to let them drive home, and then you're going to keep that whole thing a secret from their families in the community. How would you be able to pull that one off? Law enforcement responded to reports of a house party. They discovered scores of minors. So they were all wearing matching T-shirts. So this was all, planned. So they had ready access to alcoholic beverage. They were stored in coolers throughout the home. So yeah, it's a hell of a party. But you might want to do that with your 40-year-old friends and not your the students at your school there. But I don't know, maybe I'm weird. Maybe I just don't know how to party. I don't know. I'm getting older. So the situation took a turn when emergency services had to be called to treat a severely intoxicated child experiencing a medical emergencies on the principal's lawn. So the police reports indicate Hill Brodigan, she attempted to conceal the party by turning off the outside lights. So as soon as the first responders arrived, your police, your ambulance, oh my God, somebody's having a medical episode, rather than come out and greet the police and say, oh my God, we made a terrible mistake, or just try to make up some BS and, oh, they accidentally must have found your stash of White Claw and got drunk and you had no idea. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. But instead, you just pretend like there wasn't a party. You just turn off all the lights and tell everybody, shh, don't let the cops know that we're in here. And so as this student is having a medical episode, probably vomiting all over your front lawn. So that forced the fire rescue to rely on the auxiliary lighting to treat the incapacitated minor. So you couldn't get lights from the porch. No, the windows or anything like that from the home. You had to use, the headlights or whatever other lighting is on these rescue vehicles so that they could see what they were doing to try to, help this poor student. The evening's events grew even more serious when another juvenile party attendee was arrested for driving under the influence. So the scandal widened when as an elementary, one of the teachers approached officers at the scene and identified herself as faculty who had participated. But then both her and the principal were promptly arrested. I don't know what they were thinking, trying to get throw a giant house party and serve alcohol to minors, and thought they were somehow going to pull this off without any incident. And who knows what other sinister things are going on behind the scenes. I mean, it's just like maybe it'd be cool, like go to high school, college, and you have like your cool professor, and you hang out, or it's just such a bad idea. I can't really fathom this. But Deb saying she's having a kid life crisis. She looks crazy. Yes, partying with your peers is normal, but not the kids. Not a good idea. I don't know if there's anything more to say about this. Brevard Public Schools have taken swift action, placing both employees on administrative leave while the investigation continues. They're extremely troubled by these accusations and are fully cooperating with the Cocoa Beach Police Department. So, it's a stunning fall from grace for this principal who had previously been honored as a Teacher of the Year and served the district for over 2 decades. In her school biography at the Roosevelt Elementary, I don't know how old all these kids are. Website at the time, I guess maybe they can't say because they're minors. I don't know. She's had the pleasure of serving the students and parents of Brevard County for the last 23 years, and also serving alcoholic beverages to students. Okay, that's too bad. You had a good thing going, and wow, this was a catastrophic decision, inexplicable, and now she's going to be facing felony charges. 100 drunk children found at an elementary school principal's Florida home. So yes, alcohol poisoning, DUI. And who knows? We don't know any more of the details. I'm sure people are probably pretty hush-hush. But I guess that's the end. That's a very rude ending to the party. So, yeah, where there's smoke, there's fire. All righty. Well, I think that's all I have today. Blake, does it say what political party she belongs to? No, I don't know if this is a political issue or not, but this is not okay. Yeah, you'd think probably Democrat would be the most obvious choice. But I'll stay out of this. I don't know. Cocoa Beach, Florida. Well, I think that's all I have. Is there anything else that we need to play? Not seeing anything, but I think we're at that mark, about that time. So yeah, thank you all for listening. Thanks, Deb, for all the feedback, and Frankie, and for anybody else watching. Yeah, feel free to drop your comments. I'm not sure what I'm doing schedule-wise going forward. I just know I want to start doing a solo show to go along with some of the other shows that I do, whether that's once a week, twice a week, still trying to fit things into the schedule. But I guess we'll see as we go. So just got to do a quick trial run, but thank you for being here. Thank you all for your support. Feel free to send your feedback, and we'll do it again all probably next week. I don't know. I'm thinking about doing a Friday show too, like a weekend wrap-up type of deal, but I'm still playing with some ideas, and so just stay tuned. You can please follow me on Twitter, TV's Blake Wally, and the archive of all the shows will be on my website, thenextlevelnews.com. I think that's all I've got today. So thank you all for listening. Have a great week. We'll see. I'll be back probably tomorrow with Agree to Disagree with Brian Engelman again, and cover the latest saga, the shenanigans, and what have you, all the explosive exchanges on Capitol Hill for part 2 of RFK Jr. And okay, we'll leave you with that. I'll run one more stinger, and we'll call it a day. Thank you much. Peace out.